And he was unfolding so many different stories, right? To the point that he said to himself,
What's the guy's name again?
Dan Slepian. John J.
Well,
Velasquez.
say both their names.
John J. Velasquez and Dan Slepian, who's the reporter. He decided, I wonder what's going on. Like, is this just New York State? He went to other countries to see how their carceral system operated. And he was amazed at, I don't know if it was like Denmark or some country. There is no life without parole. The maximum sentence you can get is 25 years. And that's their...
Norway.
Norway, okay. And that's their
Norway.
That's their life without parole sentence, right? 25 years. No more than that. There is no such thing. The men dress in their own clothing. The officers all have training and they have social justice kind of skills. They address the incarcerated population by their last name. If you don't have education, like you dropped out of school, it is mandated that you go to school and you get your GED and continue your education depending on your sentence. There's programming inside because it makes sense. Just think about it. You did you violated, you did something wrong. You're going to get incarcerated because that's your punishment. But eventually these people are going to come back into the community. Do we want fucked up people coming back into the community? No. We want people that are going to change, be better human beings, and come back to their communities to give something back. If you treat individuals, even though they're criminals, if you treat them humanely, because they're human beings, if you address them by their name, which is a very small form of respect.
Well, I got a beef with you in a minute.
What?
That the term, even though they're criminals.
I understand.
They was convicted of a crime.
Convicted. Thank you for. Thank you.
Yes, they.
We're trying to stay away from name calling and name shaming. So even though a person's been convicted of a crime, these individuals are going to come back to society. How are we going to let people, and so Dan discovered that these men in this particular prison in Norway were doing phenomenal. They repented for what they did. They knew what they did, right? They acknowledged what they did, and they held themselves accountable. And this is all we want, right? Accountability. How are you going to change? How are you going to come back? New York State Department of Corrections does not help absolutely anyone. They traumatize people. So even if, this is not going to be on the podcast. I'm not going to talk about this. But I've been arrested.
Wait.
She's not going to put that she's been arrested on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to say that I've been arrested. I've been arrested.
So we have to cut that out then. We already recording.
Oh, shit.
So, no, you can talk.
Okay. That's fine.
No, yeah, you can speak freely.
That's fine. I was arrested twice.
Yeah, he'll cut it out.
I have a felony record. It was not something that was my doing, right? The first time I got arrested, I willingly accepted somebody's package that was filled with drugs. I had no idea, right? The second time, I was hanging out with someone that was being watched who had a whole gang of people on the outside and the inside bringing in drugs. I had no idea, right? And I allowed them to search. I cooperated with them, and they found drugs on my person.
Surprise.
On my property, right? My person. And that, because it was a second time, guess what? It's a felony now. But that's all on record. And every facility that my husband goes to, officers can see that. Oh, she got caught for smuggling. He got caught for smuggling. The drugs never got to him because they weren't for him. I had no idea what the hell was going on. But it doesn't matter because what they care about is what's on black and white, what's on paper. Okay? And I don't care if you put it in, if it's relevant. My point to all this is that there's more to what happens than what people write, what people put in the paper, what's in the news, right? Because they want to sensationalize everything. They want people to buy paper, the newspapers, right? They want people tuning in. They want to fear monger and instill this fear in people that we need to incarcerate more people because we'll be safe, which is absolutely false. That is false. And so, I mean, I worked for an investment banking firm. I've always worked. I've never been, in the system except for this situation that took place. And going in to visit my husband, it's like you have some officers that are, that's the one. We gotta put her, sit her under the camera. To this day, and this is years later, to this day, they still have my husband pinned as like some drug kingpin. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that it's fair. I don't think it's fair. It's because of my experience that I say sometimes it's not the real truth. It's not what you see. And I am being penalized and I am being punished for something that really, really was out of my control. I was just gullible. I had no idea. I'm a family member who's like, I'm very friendly. I'm outgoing. I'm very passionate about fighting for justice. And so if I see a family member who is kind of lost and the first time coming in to visit a loved one, I'm happy to help. Officers don't like that. Oh, there goes Miss 411. That's what I was labeled, Miss 411.
So they want. Oh, by the way, we haven't even done an intro.
That's right. I'm so sorry.
You are the intro. No, I didn't want to stop you.
I had no idea that we were.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you. That was the best intro I've had in my life. That was amazing. Okay, so I just want to do the proper introductions. Introduce.
So my name is Jeanny Colon. I am a Bronx community leader with the Release Aging People in Prison. We're a grassroots organization that was created by and led by formerly incarcerated people and impacted families, and I'm one of them. And I'm here with my amazing New York City organizer, Jamel. I'll pass it on to you.
Well, my name is Stanley Bellamy, affectionately known as Jamel throughout the carceral system. I'm the regional New York City community organizer for Release Aging People in Prison, commonly known as RAAP. And I thank you for inviting us and having me here.
No, I'm down.
I'm really ready to get into this conversation. I just want to piggyback off of Jeanny. I know you got some questions.
No, go ahead. You guys are running the show. I have never been this quiet in any interview, and I'm happy to be this quiet today. Well, take over.
But jump in if you have any questions in the middle of.
You guys are doing a great job. I got it. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to piggyback on Jeanny, just the comparison between the Norway system and the United States system. See, they recognize, being that they got a cap on how much time you can do in prison. They know that these individuals are coming back. So their whole system is set up and designed to prepare these individuals to succeed upon their release from prison. Like in the United States, when you come home, you lose your rights to vote, own a gun, you can't get certain jobs. That's not how they operate. Or housing. Yeah. That's not how they operate in Norway. They set up a system that when the individual comes home, they have pathways created for them to reintegrate back into society successfully. As far as the United States, they don't do that because they're going to put up all these obstacles in your way, and then they tell you, you got to go succeed. And the system, while you're on the inside, if it wasn't for and I'm talking about the United States, if it wasn't for the incarcerated people that's there creating our own programs to address, whatever needs we have or we think we have, there would never be no programs. There would be nothing. We created.
I heard that. This is the second time I heard that. So, this is the third. I would say the third. Now I got to be careful. Now you got me thinking. How do I say
it? About people-centered language.
So this is my third.
Criminal justice
topic. Okay. I don't want to say prisoner conversation, but
Incarcerated people.
Incarcerated. This is my third incarcerated episode. Like I did my boy Pito. He came back with his boy Tato that got him home.
Tato was with me.
There you go. So we're gonna get into that.
Wow.
Tato was in Green with me.
Tato brought Pito home because Cuomo created the Hope Act that you can't give a teenager life. So Tato found the loophole and got Pito released.
So is Pito from Ho Avenue?
Yes.
I know Pito. His mother just passed away, Rosa, right? Is that the same Pito?
No.
He
I
has
think,
3
no,
brothers? Okay, maybe it's the wrong Pito.
We'll figure it out later. But
Okay. Oh, man.
they
Wow.
they probably know they have to know each other because they both did 30 plus. So this is my third episode based on that. So back to the point. Tato said, the matter of fact, Tato is the one that said that you guys create that. The system doesn't create these programs. The
Incarcerated
president
population does. Yep.
the presidents do.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. I mean, how many did you create by yourself?
Right now, it's so many that when I went up for Clemency, they said, give me the top 10 of the programs that you created because I had so many. I have a portfolio that's about this thick with all the programs and stuff that I created over the years. But and this is not to pat myself on the back.
No, I want you to pat yourself on the back.
No, but because I didn't do it by myself.
Oh, I got you. Oh, yeah, so give a shout out.
And well, I got to give a shout out to my director, Jose Salazano, because he was incarcerated for 38 years. And he also, when he came from the jail that he was in, which was Sawanga, where he created programs, when he got to the jail where I was in, Sullivan, throughout the state, some of us got name recognition. When we walk into a jail, people say, oh, such and such is here. And particularly since I'm part of the organizational structure, they're going to say, get him and get him involved immediately. They're not going to let me sit in my cell. They're not going to let me hang in the yard. They're going to immediately put me on a call.
Let's get to work.
And get to work.
Get to work.
Because they know what I have done in other prisons. So when Jose came to Sullivan, we already heard his name. So as soon as get him on the call out, bring him on board. So he didn't have to go through our initiation structure that we put everybody else through.
Yeah.
He just immediately walked in the door and he got down with what we was doing because he was already doing it in the spot that he was in. So when you talk about programs on the inside, DOS create, you got to go to a program they call aggression replacement training. That is a joke.
ART.
That
Or
is
better
called
known as ART.
Even though I taught it in Sullivan, I was one of the facilitators. I had a staff person who let me run the program the way I wanted to. And my program, the way I ran it so good, the superintendent used to come to the program, take off his coat and sit in on my program and let me run ART because the way it's structured, they tell you, somebody slap you in the face, you got to go count backwards from 10 to 1. That's unrealistic in the prison environment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to think, you slap me in the face. All of us is in there. We in there for aggression and violence. And you're going to slap somebody in the face and think they're going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the way to 1. Why did you do that? They're not going to ask you that question. So that's unrealistic to even teach that. So we changed it around, and the way we structured it is that and I got to be careful how I say this, you could see a problem happening.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a problem developing.
You can feel it if you're from the streets or you're from that environment.
That's right, because you're hyper vigilant, so you can see it happen. Since you know this problem is developing, you instead of waiting till the person actually slap you in the face, and it gets to that point, you can redirect that anger and attention immediately. Like me, I was violent for the first 6 years. They kicked me out of Attica, and I'm one of several prisoners that was banned from Attica. I could never go back to Attica Correctional Facility. And if you know anything about that facility,
Thank God you were banned.
No, I was happy because once I changed, I didn't want to go back to Attica. That's I was glad I was banned. But the thing of the matter when you deal with just looking at aggression replacement, I'm gonna get back to the other program, is that sometimes all you looking for me to say is my bad. It doesn't take nothing. It doesn't take nothing from my manhood, being a man, to humble myself. Say, yo, bro, I apologize. People used to bump into me sometimes, say, yo, excuse me. And it was a tactic because now I made them aware that they bumped into me. Instead of saying, yo, man, why you bumped into me? You ain't saying nothing. I said, excuse me. Then they go, oh, excuse me, my bad. Because all you have to do is humble yourself. Because if I come at you aggressively, what's naturally going to happen? You're going to come back aggressively at me. So we flipped a lot of things around. They got the drug program, which they call ASAC. Again, it doesn't work.
Another joke?
It's another joke because the way it's structured is not going to work. And how we got it to work, I didn't teach that program. But we took those guys that was using drugs that actually went through our programs. How we got it to work is that we made them look at their value system. Change your value. If you value that drug more than your freedom, then you're going to stay in prison. Because you're chasing that drug instead of chasing to get out of here. And some dudes, when they begin to understand, they shift their value and they begin to shift their thinking, how they think about certain things, they stop using drugs. I don't know when they came home if they picked it up, but they had a different goal. Instead of chasing the bag, they begin to chase their freedom. And that was the most goal, to get out of prison as soon as reasonably possible. But over the years, man, I created so many programs, manhood. I created, my first program I created in prison was called Hitside Entertainment Workshop.
Wow.
And that was we decided that we're going to do this, bring all the rappers, the DJs, the break dancers, and some musicians together, and we're going to get them out the yard and get them in the rooms practicing their craft, and then we're going to put on a show for the population. But we set criteria. You couldn't have no tickets in 6 months. If you needed to get your GED, you had to go to school. You know, we set criteria for them if you couldn't be a part of this program unless you did these other things. And so guys want to be a part of it.
And that's what the Department of Corrections needs to do, right? I mean, they need to create programs like incentivize these guys and women. You know, we can't forget about the women. To aim for something better, right? Because this is only going to help you when it's time for your parole hearing, or if you have a clemency petition that's pending. This is all going to help you. And not only that, but you're also kind of resetting your mindset, because you're going to come back to society at some point. And so, you know, you can't come back with those same aggressions, right?
You'll be right back.
Oh, in a heartbeat, right? You know, if you think you could find drugs in prison, I mean, out here it's, you know what I'm saying? So,
no, it's
you know,
in there too.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you think, you know, in prison is easy, out here, you know, so you have to be strong. You have to kind of reset your mindset. You have to find something that is going to just make you feel good about yourself. And, you know, docs does not. You know, they just want to keep you down. They want to penalize you. And so this is where RAAP kind of saw that, right? They saw that a lot of people were aging in prison. And the parole board, they have one job. And that is to review the person. Once you've done your time, you have to, you know, you have to do
get to the max,
the minimum sentence.
Which is 25. Let's say 25.
That's
So,
your
right.
minimum. The life is your max. 25 is your minimum.
Okay.
Right. So if you do 25 years, right, you're up for parole. Their job is to review your file and go and see, do you check off these boxes? Like, you know, do you pose a threat to society? You know, what have you done while you've been in prison?
Programs.
Exactly.
Tickets.
You know, there's all these boxes, right? There's a set of criterias, right? There's a set of that you have to go through. And if everything applies and you qualify for all of that stuff, the presumption is release them. If there's no threat, they pose no threat, you release them. But that's not what the parole board does. If they don't like your crime and they feel that 25 years is not enough time, they will deny your parole.
And you gotta wait.
They deny
2
your
years.
release. 2 years.
And let me just say something. Like when the first governor, Cuomo, was in office, the parole board was operating as his original intent, which just to evaluate somebody's readiness for release. And if they felt that you wasn't ready to release, you know, to go home, they would hit you with 6 months or 4 months, 8 months. And they would tell you, bring when you come back before us, bring us such and such and such. So they told you what you needed to do to earn your release.
Ah, so that was better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But Pataki got into office in
did it.
1994.
They did that.
And he became part of this national trend on get tough on crime and criminals, and New York State adopted what they call the truth in sentencing law, where people had to do 85%. The federal government was giving New York State money to keep people in prison longer, and they was using the money to build other new prisons. So all these incentives was to keep people in jail longer, and the population began to grow and balloon to 72,000. Like I told you, it's like 32,000 now. And so under his rulership, they came up with all that telling you what you need to do to earn your release. They didn't tell you. They just hit you with 2 years based on the nature of the crime. If you, like she just said, if you they didn't like your crime, the nature of the crime, you had a homicide, you was getting hit with 2 years.
And one of the founders of the release-aging people in prison, Mujahid Fareed, brilliant jailhouse lawyer, brilliant. He was denied parole several times. And, he was aging up. By the time he was released, he was an elder person. And he, along with Laura Whitehorn, who's also formerly incarcerated, and Kathy Boudin, they three got together and created RAAP because they saw how the aging population was growing, and there was nothing in place to help them, right? And so now we're, it started out with 3 formerly incarcerated people with an idea, and now we're how many?
It's a lot. I can't even give you the numbers, but I gotta add one more, because Laura gave me another piece of the history when we were sitting on a panel about 3 days ago. She talked about how Eddie Ellis had mentioned to her about creating a program, and we can't leave out Sophia Elijah.
Oh yes, we can't. That's right.
Because RAAP, when it was in its formation, was under the Correctional Association of New York. You heard about the Correctional Association. They have the mandate to go into any prison where they want. So RAAP was under them, and RAAP grew to become its own separate entity.
It's been 10 years, right?
Yeah, going on
It's
11.
been 11.
Yeah, 11
Oh, okay.
years.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wind it back for a second. The shirt. Let's talk about the shirt real quick. Because I've never, and oh, by the way, you guys know I'm looking at the camera. They're looking around like, we talking to? I'm talking to the camera. I've never been in jail, so my questions come from a state of really not knowing. So people don't comment, oh, what the hell, you don't know what you're talking about. I do not know what I'm talking about. That's why when I do these type of episodes, I want to know. And I've never heard that word clemency in my life until, I would say, 8 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Once I started getting into the stories and everything. So, first of all, shout out to the shirt.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
for Jose Colon. That's my husband. Hey, babe.
Let's start. Hey, babe. He when he can, use the phone in the system. He called, he called me, lets me know that he's a supporter. He's been supporting, since I started. Shout out to you, Jose. You'll be home soon, brother. Don't worry. Hang in there. But I want to ask you: is he the start of this? And I'm gonna answer
right,
for
right,
you.
right.
I'm thinking yes, because this is the loved one that you're fighting for. But then, did you get caught in the whirlpool of wait a minute? Let's help everybody. Did that happen?
So it's ironic. So, during my career at the investment banking firm, and I didn't realize that I had philanthropic blood in me. I've always, since young, I've always cared about others. I've never judged anyone. I grew up on Hunts Point Avenue, with both parents. And, it was tough at Hunts Point. We were a good family. And, as a Puerto Rican mom, no te quiero con esa.
Yeah.
Enséñame con quién andas y te diré quién eres, right? Show me who you're hanging with and I'll tell you who you are. That never really mattered to me. And so fast forward, I was living a reclusive life. I was really, 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 I didn't want anyone knowing that I was married to somebody that was in prison.
Wow.
And I lived that kind of life.
Was it like embarrassing?
It was embarrassing to me because I gave in to society. I gave in to the culture of what people were saying, like that people in prison are bad. And so that was a stain on my reputation. I pay my taxes. I'm hardworking. I'm a mom. I felt like I was a community leader in my community. And that stigma really weighed heavy on me. I didn't want anyone at work knowing. No one knew. No one knew that I was married to someone in prison. And it got to a point where my friends were asking me to go out and I'd say no. And I even got to a point where I was fibbing a little bit and saying, oh, my husband can't join because he's working. And in my mind...
you got deep into the lie.
I got deep into the lie. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm not really lying because he's programming and he's working inside, but they don't know that he's in prison. So I made...
You rationalized.
I did. I rationalized it.
It made sense to you.
It made sense. It made complete sense to me. And then someone in prison told him, there's going to be, during the COVID, there's going to be a Zoom, there's going to be an advocacy day. He calls me up and says, babe, I think you should register because maybe they'll talk about juvenile law. Because he was in prison when he was a juvenile. He was 17. And I was so annoyed at him because I felt safe in my own little world. I would go to work, pick up my daughter, come home, and that was it. I didn't hang out.
So you guys are teenage lovers.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I know him from the street. I know him from outside, and then we got reacquainted inside. And so, I said, you know what? Let me do this. Let me see what it's about. I didn't know what Zoom was. I didn't know anything because I'm telling you, I was kind of living in my own little world, in my own cocoon. And when I got on, I saw all these faces on my screen. Abby, it was unbelievable. And I was so overwhelmed and I felt so guilty because all those people, all those hundreds of people that were showing up were advocating for my husband and for everyone else. And I think that at that point, I said, what the hell are you doing? You're tough.
No more hiding. No more hiding.
No more hiding. And so a former community leader introduced me and he would call me to kind of talk me off the ledge and kept telling me, listen, and he shared some of his experiences and I had a mindset reset, right? I said, shame on me for hiding. Shame on me. Like, I love my husband. I think he's an amazing individual. Why would I not share that with the world? And what is it that I'm doing that I can't help him, but all others, right? I need to pay it forward. I need to do the same thing that all these individuals are doing. And so, I remember the first rally. I had no idea what a rally was. I showed up. Dave was there. It was in front of Van Cortlandt Park. I said, "Oh, okay. I may run into some people that I know." I'm like, "Oh my God," because I used to live around there, and I'm like, "I'm gonna do this. God, you got me. I'm gonna do it." Bronx News 12 News was there. Bronx News 12. Dave tells me, "Okay, Jeannie, are you ready? They're gonna interview you." I had a complete meltdown.
Because now they're really going to see you.
I said, oh my God, Dave, nobody knows that I'm married to somebody that's in prison. What are you doing to me? I can't do this. And he's just looking at me like, oh my God, what is going on?
It's
right?
too late.
Right? And then I said, give me a second. I walked away and I'm talking to myself and I'm like, you're doing this for your husband. You're doing this for the hundreds of people that you've met in prison that are amazing individuals. Like, you could do this. So I did it. And then I said, okay, I have to get prepared.
The phone's going to start ringing.
The phone's going to start ringing. I get my mom, Gina, I saw you on the news. ¿De qué tú estás hablando? And like, what are you doing? And
That's a mom response.
And she gave me hell. What am I going to tell my neighbors? What am I going to tell the family? I said, Mom, what are you supposed to tell them? Send them to me. Send them to me because, one, they don't know Jose. They don't know the person the man that he is today. Okay? He made such a bad decision at a fixed point in his life, and he's paying for it. He has lost his entire youth in prison, but he's not that person anymore. He deserves a second chance.
I want to get into that when you're done.
And so here I am, and every day I learn, every day we learn from each other. Every day we hold each other accountable. And I know that sometimes it's kind of hard for me to take my advocacy hat off. Like he tells me all the time, it's like, where's my wife? Take that advocacy hat off. But you know what? People are dying in prison every single day. Like every 3 to 4 days, every 3 days, somebody dies in prison. And especially at the hands of guards.
Elderly.
And the elder also, right? Because there's no real doctors in prison. There's no real hospitals. There's no real care. And so how can I ever, ever, ever take my advocacy hat off when there's work to do?
Because this is what you do on the side. You have a real job.
I am retired.
Okay.
I was forced to retire. I was involved in a car accident about 7 years ago.
I thought that was going to go the other way.
Yeah, no,
I was forced to retire because I'm always out here fighting for my husband.
Yeah, no.
I was going to say, damn.
Yeah, so I was involved in a car accident, and unfortunately, I'm permanently disabled.
So there's more time for you to fight.
So absolutely.
You see how God works? Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I know.
I just made that up, but I think it makes sense.
No, but it's true. Absolutely. I believe that. I believe in, I do believe in all that stuff. We're always meant to.
Before I lose my thought, I want to ask you, because you being here gives us the angle that we don't know. We didn't do 10 years, we didn't do 10 days. So my question now, and I asked you outside because not only Jose, the other 21-year-olds, 18-year-olds,
16-year-olds.
You committed a crime at a young age and you paid for it. Now, I'm really confused about that because do you guys get slack from maybe the state, the governor, or the DA, whatever? That person that maybe it's not murder, maybe it was something else, but in the case of murder, right? That person's still dead, right? And they still have family, and they got kids, and they got whatever they had when they were murdered or they died, whatever. Are those people? Do they also have this team behind them of rallies and stuff? Because I don't want the person that killed my father when I was 10 years old to ever come out of jail. But that's just, I'm trying to give both sides here.
Absolutely,
So
and you're right, yeah.
This is why I'm asking you, because what is, and I don't even know how to ask that question, but whatever I just said,
we get it, we understand 100%
Gotcha.
what the question
We know,
is, yeah.
and this is something that we on the inside advocating for, because you just said your father. I don't know if that was true.
No, I made that up.
Okay,
but
let's say,
yes,
sake of argument, that is true, that your father got killed when you was 10 years old, and you don't never want
and
that.
And now Felipe Lopez is trying to get home,
and he's trying to come home,
and his wife is on TV, and so I'm trying to go on the other side.
What we advocated for in New York State, then with the district attorney right now, just say, let's use that scenario.
Yeah,
they're gonna want your mother, whoever's in the family member, to come test. First, they're gonna have you come to the morgue to identify the body. Then they're gonna have you go to the grand jury to testify. Then, if it's a trial, they're gonna have you come to the trial to testify. Each one of those stages is traumatizing.
100%.
Right? At the trial, say the individual is found guilty and sent to prison. They done with you. There's nothing else put in place to help you deal with the pain, suffering of losing that loved one. There's no healing process for you now. You just go about your life.
Let's say I was the witness. Let's say my dad was a drug dealer. I was 10 years old. I was 15, and they used me on the stand. That guy killed my dad. Thank you. Sentence him 50 years. You're done.
He's go upstate.
And then they done with me.
Done with you. While that person's inside working on themselves, dealing with, like, I'm using me for instance,
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
to terms with the pain, suffering, the harm that the individual that was murdered in my case, that his moms and his family suffered while me dealing with that, trying to heal and become that human being person. There's nothing happening with you.
You would have to find that resolve. You would have to find the help that you need, but the state
It's not going to offer
doesn't-
that to you.
Yeah, they're not going to.
We
offer it
said
to you.
that needs, we advocate for the victims. We was advocating for the victims' families that they need to go through the same healing process, because what's going to happen? Say I received 25 years. After 25 years, I'm going up for parole. You're going to get that phone call. And all that saying that this individual is going up for parole, what do you think about it? All that phone call is going to do is going to take you right back
when
to
you're
that 10
Wait,
years old.
so they're gonna call me?
They're
Yeah.
going to notify you.
They,
Wow.
would,
and
they
say
call
that
the
Why would they do
victims'
that?
families.
because they want because they know that they didn't do anything to help you heal through that whole process, that you're going to relive that trauma and that anger. All that anger that you had 25 years ago is going to come right back to the surface.
So now I can write letters to help
you
deny
can
you.
show up.
Yeah, you can
Show
see-
up.
You could show up and talk to
Well,
them in person. You could write a letter saying nope.
But you can't go to my hearing, but you can show up and write to them and say, listen, I oppose this individual's release,
Wow.
because you're still experiencing that pain from 25 years ago because there was nothing done for you. While the individual that you saying should never be released have probably became a totally different person and will never commit another crime like that again, and will, if released, will go out in the community and talk to the young people to try to prevent a crime from like that happening again. And that's what's happening. A lot of individuals that have homicides, when they come on, and this is something that maybe people on your show doesn't know, is that people convicted of murders are the least likely, when they release, to return to prison for another homicide or another crime. We have one of the lowest recidivism rate in the state.
Oh wow.
You know, the lowest. And it's, in some cases, then when you add the college degrees that we earn and the education and all that stuff on top, it's less than 1% that an individual will go back. And when you find most of these individuals that committed these type of crimes and came home, they're the ones out in the community trying to make the community safer. They're the ones, the credible messengers, the violent interrupters. They're the mentors. They're going to the juvenile centers, trying to talk to the youth to prevent another crime like theirs happening again, to prevent another mother from crying, a son from missing a father, whatever. This is what we come out here and do, because we took the time, however long we was in prison, to really come to terms with accepting the responsibility and being accountable for our actions, and understanding that what we did, you know, we always, and I want to just turn back and I'm going to finish this and pass it to Jeannie if you want to add on. Many of us, myself included, thought I was the victim. You know, I was the one that was being done wrong by the judge, the DA, and all that, because, and that's why we don't use labels, because the individuals in my case, one was dealing drugs. The other one was his lieutenant. But at the same time, they were human beings. They were somebody's son. They were somebody's cousin. They were somebody's brother. And that night, regardless of what they was doing, you know, that they was drug dealers, that label that we throw on people to dehumanize them and not see them as a person, regardless of what they doing that night, I turned them into a victim. And see, that, what I had to come to understand was, because the individual that got on the stand and testified against me, I called him a snitch, as if he was doing harm to me when he was the one shot 3 times. What was he supposed to do? He was the one that was harmed and victimized. He was supposed to get on the stand and say that's the person who did it to me, if that's, you know, that's the role he wanted to play. But we got caught up in these labels and we stopped seeing the human being or the person, humanity. We say criminal, that's why we don't use that term. We're humans, we're people. You know, so to get back to humanity, because in prison I regained my humanity. While I was in the street at that age, I wasn't.
I believe, and I know not only you. Whoever gets away, let's say you would have got away with that, right? You probably would have laid low for chill. You would have came back, probably be somewhere else in another hood. You know, maybe got in another altercation. You would have caught 2 or 3 more bodies, whatever. So it's either you're dead or you're gonna the 37. So take the 37 years, sit in front of me with the person that I'm sitting in front of now. like you said, definitely not that 20 whatever person. So do you think it's a big price to pay?
It was a steep price to pay because, and this is when I was in prison and I ran these programs, and I recognized that, I say this all the time, some people don't agree, but information is power. And I add this little stuff to it that information is power, and those that have it would always be in a better position to make more meaningful decisions than those who don't. And being that the only information I was working with as because I started my criminal lifestyle as a 9-year-old. So the only information I was working with was the street information. That was the only information that was resonating with me.
Aggressive, gangster.
Yes. Followed, the code of the street.
Yeah.
This happens, you do this, and we get caught up in that. And I always say this, at 9 years old, had somebody caught me at that particular point in my life, and the reason why I say 9 years old, because my friend was killed at 9 years old. My classmate was killed. And back then in 1971, we didn't know how to understand that, engage that, how that would affect the other children that was in school. I wanted to be a police officer. We all had those type of dreams. But it was a police officer involved in my friend being killed. So that turned me away from, I was afraid. Listen, when you talk about traumatized, back then if a cop came near me, I would start sweating. I would get nervous. I couldn't even be anywhere near them because I had that fear, and I understand where it was coming from now, that they would kill me too.
Wow.
And so I grew up with, so the natural progression for me was the streets. And so that became my world. And so under that world, them codes, so-called stupid codes that we adapt and, we begin to follow, we don't see each other as human beings. We see each other as stick-up kids, robbers, pimps, pushers, whatever. And when we start labeling and seeing each other like that, I don't see you as a human being, and taking your life or losing my life means nothing because I didn't value my life. So how was I supposed to value yours?
That's some deep shit right there. So you technically, everything you just said, you have to pick a hustle in the street. Like, what, am I going to be the stupid kid? Am I going to be the drug dealer? Am I going to be the pimp? You had to actually back then pick something.
Yes.
Well, if that was all that you had, and
If
that's
that was all you had.
saw,
If you had mom and dad, grandma, uncles,
Right.
No, they're gonna grab you by the neck and whatever. But you like you said, you didn't have that.
No, I came up in a 2-family house, but I didn't understand the trauma from losing my classmate. They understand it now. And if something, you see what's going on, a shooting in the school, they got grief counselors, they got all these people to send. They didn't have none of that. You know what they told you? Handle it.
Yeah.
Handle, suck it up. Be a man.
Yeah,
I'm a 9-year-old kid. Be a man. And that's how I became a man. I went to the streets. The older dudes recruited me, put me in a little clique. And from there, I just progressed into the criminal lifestyle. And what I'm saying is nothing new because you're seeing that's taking place now with the gangs and all that other stuff. It's a progression. And they caught up in these codes that they think is
Cool.
the
And
life.
It's not.
It's not the life.
This is why me and my ex-wife, we're not together no more, but we got right now our son is 13.
Mm-hmm.
We are on his ass.
And you should.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of influences on social media, school, it's everywhere.
Right now we're gonna put him in private school. I hope that helps. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The public school system, has these. Well, and I'm pretty sure there's issues in private school as well, but we're just trying to do our best because they need something, bro. They need someone to not want to disappoint. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
There's victims,
Let's with his son real quick, and then you can go.
Yeah.
Take your son and begin starting them, teach him about being civilly engaged. Go to Albany with him. Take him to other places. Let him see outside of the community and other stuff. I'm experienced now. I only been home 20-something months. I'm experienced stuff that I should have experienced as a child in these 20 months. I done been places I ain't never been as a child that now as an adult that I should have been going through as a child. Take your son out of the neighborhood. Let him see other stuff.
If you put him in private school, he's going to have to do some volunteer work.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about that because
Kathy
Boudin created so many programs. Oh my God, this woman was phenomenal. She's passed on, but one of the things that she created was Beyond the Bars. It's held every year at Columbia, and this is where different organizations can apply. just to talk about their platform. And I think it's great to sit in some of these workshops and to hear people's stories and to see where they were once and where they are now, like Jamel, right? I think that for a 13-year-old, it would be awesome for him to just hear the stories and see in person, get involved somehow by volunteering his hours. And as a father now, he can't even begin to imagine the trauma that and that he caused, the ripple effect, because it not only impacted, his family, his community, but their family. And it's something, and it's a cross that he's going to have to carry for the remaining of his days. And it's not something that's easy. And the only thing that you can do is try to give back. Try to stop, like you said, try to stop that youngster from going down the same path that he went down because of the stupid mindset, right? And being in the street and thinking you're cool and following everyone else and, thinking that you're part of something bigger, and it's nothing. But there's a lot of victims groups that actually support the RAAP campaign because they understand that if I lost a son or you lost a father at 10, his mother lost a son to incarceration. And you can say, but he's still living and breathing. But he's never going to be the same. And it's still impacting the families. And so these victims groups understand that healing starts, in both instances.
I think forgiveness is a big part of healing.
That's
Absolutely.
the main part, forgiveness.
Because if you carry that resentment in your heart, you're always going to be bitter and angry, and that's just going to weigh you down, and you're not going to really get anywhere, really, because even if the person dies, let's say behind bars, right, is that hurt really ever going to go away? Are you still, you're still going to carry that pain and that hurt. And so, it's so important for people to have...
Thank you for clarifying that, because I was really asking. The first thing I said to him was, "Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What if the victim side is like they don't give a shit? They want you to die in jail or whatever. But this is why this is important, because I'm learning as well. I know I do these interviews so I want to learn. Like I don't do this for fun. I do this to teach, and I do this because I'm learning at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to go back to before we move on, and I want to talk about how RAAP started. Because we just brushing upon it, but I want to actually get into it. But real quick with the parole thing, right? So, and back to the smack in the face example, getting tickets. So. I've never been in prison, but I'm assuming as a man, unless you're just a total coward and you just want to, be somebody's, they call it somebody's punk or whatever, you're going to defend yourself, right? So what do they expect?
And
you broke into my locker. Okay, you broke it. Apparently there's a locker. They say there's lockers. You broke into my locker. You took my Cheetos. You took my soup. You took whatever. I have to do something about that because everyone else is going to punk me. But in the ticket, it just says ticket. It just says you was in a hole for 3 months. It just says, so coming from someone that knows, what the hell do they expect?
Well, I'm coming from a spring because I've been in the box, at least 3 of them. But
what?
Yeah, stupid.
I'm
not even going to get into
it. Don't go there. We don't want him to do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. But the whole thing with what we recognize, and I did and we did a profile. and this one we had a meeting with the commissioner too, and we changed their mindset because they used to say you have a serious disciplinary history. So most individuals coming upstate for the first 5-6 years, they're gonna catch tickets because you're trying to adjust.
You said your first 6 years you was wilding.
Yes, you're gonna adjust because you have to adjust to that culture and that environment. But like you said, if somebody and these are the stories, and this is what was bad about some individuals coming home from prison. They'll come home from prison and tell you these war stories, how they was this, and they tell you all these rules that you have to follow. If somebody do this, you have to do this. All they doing when they do that to you is locking you in a box because there's other options and there's other responses of how you can deal with the situation. But if they telling you, you got this hammer and that's a nail and you got to keep hitting it, that's going to be your response all the time. You got the hammer and you're going to hit it. You're going to hit that nail with the hammer. So as you go through the bid, you learn how to navigate because there's going to be individuals that's never going to learn how to navigate. They just can't adapt to that system. They're going to be violent throughout the whole course of their whole bid. And then what's funny about it, and I ran into several of these individuals when they home, they're not violent home. They just in that environment, that abnormal environment, they adapt to the culture and the rules of that environment, and that's how they carried themselves. And they would catch tickets. I know one guy that caught 500 tickets.
God damn.
Yeah, he's a record. He made a record. He home. He made his first board.
Wow.
He had 500 tickets, and he caught what we call a jailhouse body. And he came home, and right now he's in the street doing amazing things.
But also,
Yeah.
can I piggyback off of that?
Yeah, do your thing.
I think like he was saying, like, you know, the first several years, and I know this through my husband's stories, I think he did 9 years in the box collectively. As a teenager, coming up north and not knowing what the culture, you're a young man, but also this establishes a name. Oh, that's Blanco? Oh, you can't fuck with him. He's fast. He'll get you. You know what I'm saying?
He's a shooter.
So, right. And so
He's a shooter.
then, you know, that travels throughout the state also. So that when you're moved and you come to a new facility, people already know who you are. People know, like, you can't mess with that guy. People will try it. People will try you. And so, you know, but, you know,
I got to tell you something.
as you get older and you'll become an old head, as they say, like
Yeah,
OG,
they call us
an old
OGs.
timer, an old timer.
You get less charges, less tickets or whatever?
Well,
you don't
you-
really get tickets. It's not that you don't get tickets. It's just that the officers don't really bother you as much because they want to focus on the younger guys that they feel that they need to watch or whatever they got in their minds. But this is the most important thing that for people, and you did too, Jeanny, because you've never been in there. We took a jail and we changed the whole culture of that jail where there was no stabbings in this jail at all. When later on, when they begin to kick a lot of us out, and this is Sullivan, there was really no stabbings in the jail. 5-6 years without a stabbing. That's unheard of in New York State prisons because we changed the culture. We took that whole jail and made that into a program jail where individuals were getting, we had like 9, 10, I think about 13 different organizations. And through those organizations, we created activities for the population to do. And plus, it's a small jail. But that's how you can take over a jail.
You put a dent.
Yeah, and change the culture. Because we're living there with each other. You know, we say how things is going to happen. You know, SEALs really think they run the spot. But at any time, the people that's inside can shut that prison down.
It's 160 versus like 3-4 officers. Something like that, right?
Yeah,
Depending on what it is.
You got, say Greenhaven, for instance, right now, because Clinton used to be one of the largest jails, like 2,000 people in Greenhaven Correctional Facility. I think there's like 500 officers. Now, at any time, they can lock you in the cell and everything, but if guys in the cell in Greenhaven don't want to do anything, they can stay in their cell.
That happens. I don't know if you were inside. I don't know if you were still inside.
No.
But there was a time where I think, and I don't know if this was a collective.
It was a Y2K. That was one of the reasons I went to the box. Is they labeled me as an organizer and one of the organizers, and they put me in the box.
No, well, in Sing Sing, I think no one went out to use the phones at all. Everyone locked in, like everyone in the facility did not go out and to use the phones for no other reason. For no other reason but to show,
And-
we can control ourselves, right? Like, we got this, like you said, they're the majority. There were no, no infractions. But the officers were shook. They didn't understand what the hell was going on and why everyone decided to just lock in and not use the phones. Now, they have tablets, they could call any time from their tablets through Securus and stuff, but that was a problem with the phones.
I want to talk about the officers real quick because I've spoken to. There's been a couple of times that the officer topic comes up, right? What is it about? You got some officers that they're human. Yeah. Let's go with your experience. What is your opinion on the ones that abuse and the ones that are coming to work and treating inmates with respect? What do you?
Okay.
What do you give that?
That's a good, because you're right. I'm not going to sit here and tell you throughout my whole 37 and a half years in prison that all the officers was assholes and they was all just racist and all that, because you have a nice segment of them in the officers population they come there. That's a 9 to 5 for them job. But when you look at some of them where they have these prisons located, and we call them sundown towns in New York State.
And Pito and Tato made an example that let me give you what they said, and you could co-sign. The father worked there, the grandfather worked there, the uncle worked there.
Yes.
So it's that job and that jail is the bread and butter of that town.
The whole town, like a mining town.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
That's what they. So you co-sign that. Good.
Yes, yeah, because that's a lot of the towns up. And see, that's why they hated even Andrew Cuomo, because he said he was not going to allow them to continue using the Department of Correction as a welfare system, because, and me and the CO got into an argument one time. He said you don't like to follow orders, you shouldn't come to jail. I said, let me ask you a question. Why you never ask the question why this is the only job you can have? Why is it that your father's a CO, your mother's a CO, your sister's a CO, your aunt, your grandfather, everybody's? Why? You should be asking this question. Why is this the only job open to you? So there's something wrong with this. But that's how it is. They're in sundown towns, and many of these officers up there, particularly further up, that come down to, they never really interact with Black and Latino people. So they don't know us. They have all these stereotypes. They see these videos, they see all the stuff, and they apply it across the board. They don't have no conversation. So you coming from a town where your father said, call us the N-word and all that. So you grow up under that, and then you work as a CO. And they know that many of these officers, and we're going to just use the Proud Boys, but let's say many of these officers up there at one time was part of the KKK in New York State. They members, and they know it. They saying to them that they can have this job in a facility where 90 or 85% of the population was Black and Latino, but as long as they don't bring their political so-called ideology into the prison system. How can you not? I hate these people. And now I got an opportunity to rule over them. And then you have those ones that came in, and this is not all of them. There's some that come in that, again, as a person who's never been in prison, many people that never been around anybody who commit crimes and everything, you hear all this story. You don't want to live around no rapists. You don't want to live around anybody that's convicted of a murder.
I got a letter in the mail to be a correction officer last year, and I just ripped it up because I do not want to go to jail.
Yeah, see,
for work. I don't want to go. I don't want to go
as a worker.
As a worker, I know I can still come home, and I'm like, I'm good.
And see now they have a double-edged sword because they kept caught in a catch-22. They don't want to be around people that they label the scum of the earth, but at the same time, they dependent on them for their livelihood. So you got to look at that dynamic. I have to go. I don't want to be around none of these people. I consider them all the scum of the earth. But now, if I don't be around them, I don't have a job. I don't have a livelihood.
Because this town, like to work in Rikers or to be a CEO in the city, that's one thing.
Yeah.
downstate or upstate or whatever, that's a whole different, Pennsylvania.
Go further up.
Further up, Buffalo, whatever.
Yeah, go up there. You're gonna get those sundown towns. Downstate, the thing like the brother was talking about is that was a reception jail.
Okay.
So they were setting the right then and there. This is how it's going to be. When you come in here, we rule this spot. If you don't like how we indoctrinating you, we will take you in that room.
Do you
and
think that's
you.
necessary?
No, because you create that animosity. You create that adversary type of relationship when it doesn't have to be. And those officers that understand that we shouldn't have that type of, because the whole thing, you coming in to do a job to take care of your family. You ain't supposed to be coming there to brutalize me. I wasn't sentenced to be degraded, dehumanized, and brutalized. I was sentenced to do time, and in the course of me doing time, somehow or another, rehabilitate myself, find myself, so that when I'm released, that I can come back out to society as an asset. But when you create that us against them type of, because they started first. Because once you do that to me in downstate, I'm going to carry that with me all the way upstate, and then I'm going to see that in every prison that is us against them.
Okay, so just for me and for the people that don't know what the hell you're talking about, you get off the bus.
Yes.
Okay. Whatever, how many people on the bus? Now we still chained up, right?
Yes.
You got to line up, and whatever, how many COs are there?
Yes.
You are already being disrespected.
From the moment you get off that bus, the way you being talked to.
So it's not, hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you?
No.
Welcome to jail. We're happy to see you. None of that shit.
None of that. That's not. And this the funny thing. Then I'm gonna let Jeanny, if you want to chime in. I've been in all these Macs. When you walk in the door, they tell you the first thing. We don't care what you do to each other, but if you touch one of us, we will kill you in here. And they tell you that getting off the bus. I don't care whatever prison I went to. So when I went to Sullivan and the sergeant came in there and he's joking with me, I didn't know how to handle it.
Oh, he was cool.
Yeah, they was joking. I didn't know how to handle it because I'd never been in a prison where the sergeant would be joking with me. All the other prisons, when I would get off that bus, we will murder you in here. You come in here, you touch one of us, we don't care what you do to us. And some of them, like in downstate, if I got off the bus with 5 or 6 people and they wanted to make a point, the biggest person he just had, I was always the little guy, so I didn't have to experience too much of that. But the biggest person, he was always getting, they was going to beat that bit right in front of you.
In front of you, right there?
Yeah, they don't care.
They would beat that person right in front of you because they want to make a statement. And the thing, and the problem with that, if you go back through history and you study history through slavery, that's what they did to the slaves coming. When they identified who the warriors was, they murdered them in front of everybody else. And so that's the same thing they do in prison.
So they not saying that the biggest guy is a tough guy. He could have been a teddy bear. It's not the point. It's not the point. He's 6'8", 250.
Yeah. We're going to beat him to death.
We're going to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
So they know, don't play with us.
The rest of everybody else get the message very clear. Do not mess with us.
All right. But
they don't do it on camera, of course.
There's
no cameras.
There was no cameras back there when I went up there.
All right. So before we could talk about that all day, but let's bring it back to RAAP. So what is the introduction to RAAP? What year and how did this come about?
Oh, 11 years.
2013 RAAP was born.
Sorry.
2013, RAAP came into existence. You can, because you was home. I was locked up. I didn't become a member of RAAP until 2018.
Yeah, so give me the breakdown of the intro, the bills that you guys started that are still active.
Yeah, we actually have 2 bills that we're trying to.
Wait, did you start when they started, or you?
No, I've been with RAAP for about, it's going on 5 years, I believe now.
Okay.
So I wasn't with them from the beginning.
Oh, you joined after me?
I joined
in 2018.
Oh, from prison.
Yeah, I was still.
Oh, you were a member.
Oh, look at that! Oh, look at that! You see?
Okay, so yeah. So I started as a volunteer leader. Just about 5 years ago. And there are 2 bills we're trying to pass into legislative law. And it's the elder parole bill. The elder parole bill.
That's happening now. They're trying to do.
Yes.
This is what we're trying to do.
What
now.
bills do they? What bills are passed? The none.
So, in Albany, you have so many bills that people bring forth. You know, you create a bill, right? You create the language, you get an attorney to make sure everything is cool, and then you have to get leadership, meaning like a senator, an assembly person, to get on the bill, meaning co-sponsor them, right? They're the ones that are going to spearhead this bill. They're the ones that are going to push forth and try to get them passed. In order for a bill to pass, you have to have leadership, put them forth on the floor, as they call the floor, for a vote. So, the process. We have the elder parole bill, right? Right now, it's, let's say it's in the Senate. That has to get conferenced. It has to be calendared, meaning it's got to go to three different committees. It's the crimes and committee, crimes and corrections committee. It's got to go through the finance committee and codes. Once it goes and it passes, let's say everyone agrees to pass that bill, from the crimes, it goes on to finance. Once it passes finance, it goes to codes. Once it goes to codes, then it's in the hands of Andrea Stewart-Cousins. She is the speaker. I'm sorry, she's the majority leader of the Senate. And it's up to her to bring it forth to the rest of her senators, Republicans and Democrats, meaning the floor.
How long is this process? 'Cause
oh my God, it's, you know what?
years or months?
Well, we've been fighting for these two particular bills for how many years? Yeah.
The process can go like this when they wanted to.
When they wanted to, that's right.
So wait, is this when you see people or actors or whoever and they're talking to people that's sitting down up there? Is that?
Oh no, you're talking about Oh yes,
Yeah, they can do that.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Because it's open hearing. Sometimes you can.
So you have Washington and then you have Albany.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm thinking about
Right.
Washington.
Yeah, you're talking about Washington.
Okay,
so
but
those are
it's the same. It's probably the same thing.
Yeah, just on a smaller level.
Yeah.
right on a smaller level. So yeah, like he said, it can go really fast. But we've been fighting for these bills for about 7 years now,
Damn.
and we get really.
And what is
close.
the bill exactly? So let me think, because I'm assuming, and then you correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying this bill is saying this person already committed their crime. They are 69 years old, elderly, 75, whatever. This person deserves to be home, to die home, not die in prison. That's what I'm.
So the 55 and 15, it's the elder parole, which means anyone who is 55 years and older, and 55 is because the Department of Corrections has deemed 55 as being elder because they age so rapidly. They age, people in prison age twice. Different. Yes, very different. So 55 is elder in prison. Anyone who's done 15 years, which is the minimum, 15 years or more, what we're saying is give them an opportunity to go before the parole board. So this would apply for people that have life without parole, that are sure to die. It's a death by incarceration.
That's what I'm saying. So we rather them die outside with their families
so
or have a little bit of life left.
Yeah,
but the bill don't say they get automatically released. It's just saying give them the opportunity to make their case.
Give them
a chance to talk to the parole board.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Just an opportunity to go
because
before
if this person hasn't had tickets and got in trouble in 10 years, that should be an automatic.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not.
And then we have the fair and timely parole bill. So the fair and timely is once again going back to the parole commissioners. We want them to go back to what they're supposed to do, right? And not be judge and juror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of parole people. They up there on their high horse.
Yeah, we want.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How many at a parole hearing? How many people are sitting? How many are there?
You got three.
And
they don't even do in-person hearings no more. Now we do it on video.
Oh yeah. COVID taught everybody a new trick.
Yeah, they live.
So I'm sorry.
Zoom.
Continue.
Yeah. He never made it to the parole board because. No, but you had clemency.
No, I explained that situation.
Oh, okay.
And I want you guys to give me the definition is very different. Clemency, release
parole,
on
yes.
parole, clemency, and being pardoned. Is there something I'm
Yeah,
missing?
yeah,
Those the three
Yeah,
ways
I'll explain those
Yeah,
three
yeah,
things,
yeah.
the difference.
And so the fair and timely is for everyone who is parole eligible, meaning you've already done your time, and you qualify to go before the parole board. So this is not like you're getting out early or anything like that. You've already done your minimum sentence. You're up for parole. We want the parole commissioners to review them holistically and give them a fair hearing, right? Not just deny them simply for the nature of the crime, which is what they normally do. So this bill would still give them full discretion, right? They can still consider the nature of the crime, but they would have to come up with another reason why they're denying parole. If they meet all the boxes, right? They check everything off, like, why are you denying me? So that would be the fair and timely. And so we're back. We have new numbers. We're back in Albany. We're trying to push. We have majority sponsorship, meaning there's a lot of assembly members and senators that support these two bills. And we're trying to push leadership. Carl Hasty, he's the Speaker of the Assembly, of the entire Assembly. And then we have the Majority Leader, which is Andrea Stewart-Cousins. These are two people of color.
Nice.
Carl Hasty lives in the Bronx, Gun Hill Road. His district is highly impacted. And these two bills would help, alleviate some of the jails, some of the prisons that are overpopulated right now with several closings. And Stewart-Cousins lives in Yonkers. She's here. She's in this district, and once again, lots of people that are impacted. And so we just need for them to push forward, and hopefully with this, with what happened with Robert Brooks, they understand that every time and every day that we are not pushing these bills forward, there's a person that's at risk at dying. These are human beings that we're trying to give an opportunity to come home. So, but you had a question.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to answer this question, but I just want to add, for the elder bill too, who would it affect? Like she talks about Jose, her husband. He's been in jail since he was 16. There's many individuals, men and women, that been in prison since they was 16, 17, they late teens, early 20s, and they way past the 15-year threshold that's in the bill. They already been in, I did three decades, almost 4 decades. There's individuals I left back there that's going on to their 4th decade, that when they came into prison, they was 20, they was 19. These bills would, benefit them and give them the opportunity to go before the parole board to make their case for release. Because they passed, they in there, they did too much time, And again, like Jeannie said, with the fair and timely parole, if you're just going to judge a person on the nature of the crime, that's never going to change. The only thing that can change is the person.
Your opinion is never going to change.
Yeah, it's never going to change.
You mentioned it earlier when we first started, black and white. You're reading black and white. Killed a baby, kid, whatever. It's when you're reading that, it sounds despicable.
Yes.
Microwaving a baby at 14 because whatever. Yeah. That sounds horrible.
Yes.
Or drunk driver, whatever the case may be.
It's never going to change.
But 25, 30 years, I can't even imagine.
People are not the same.
What year did your husband go in?
98.
Okay, 98. I was just telling you, I was driving. Freaking OJ, People's Choice,
Oh, yeah.
I was in so many situations. Kilos in the car, murderers in the car, guys telling me, yo, we're going to go do something, wait for us around. I could have easily done 20, 25 years. Easy. By something stupid, because I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be the driver that they call. You know what I'm saying? So it's just unfortunate that they're just going to keep looking at these crimes like, nope, we're not going to forgive you.
Yeah, that's never going to change. The crime of conviction will never change. But people change. People change all the time.
When's the next time you're going to sing that?
I can go whenever.
Give me
you want to
list.
come?
Give me the list. I want to go up there.
You don't got to be on the list.
Yeah, you
I don't know how it
Oh,
works.
the list is federal.
Oh, the list is federal.
Yeah,
State, you can
federal.
just go.
State, you could
Nah,
go.
I want to go meet my man Jose, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can just go
Yeah.
with Jeanny and go. But I'm gonna break down the difference between parole, clemency, and pardon.
Please.
When you talk about clemency, under clemency,
I have no idea what that means. I swear to God, I just heard that
So
word.
the governor, just so you know, the governor of New York State or the governor of any state, they have sole executive power, meaning no
He
one
just told me they can
tell
release the whole
her-
jail.
if they want
Yes,
to.
He just told me they can release the whole jail.
They can't do
Governor
nothing about it.
Kathy Hochul has sole discretion. She's got the power to release anyone.
And they released one person this year.
And she
Just
only
one thing.
released, she only commutated one person.
Wait.
Let me-
Commutated?
Yeah.
That's what I was
What
going
the hell?
Yeah.
There's another word.
No,
Yeah.
but that's part inside
part
of
of
the
clemency,
inside
yeah.
of
It's part of
clemency
clemency.
is the big title.
Got
Yes.
you.
Under clemency is commutations and pardons.
And there's
Gotcha.
another thing
Because
too, but we don't really use
because
it.
clemency is, if you look up the definition, is about reprisal, mercy,
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that
yeah.
type of stuff. So under that,
I did look it up too.
yeah.
I swear to God. Mercy's the first word that comes up.
Yeah.
So that's all under clemency. And so what she does when she grant clemency, for me, I had a 62 and a half years to life sentence. She gave me a time computation. Like Como, what he did when he released all those people except for Judy
Judy
Clark.
Clark, that's yeah.
He released everybody. He gave them a date, saying, all right, I'm giving you clemency. You're going home on such and such date. Kathy Hochul did for me and one of my friends, Bruce Bryant, because we had homicides. We was some of the first two people that she gave clemency to with homicides. She sent us to the parole board. She didn't give us a date to come home. She said, I'm reducing your time from 62 and a half years to 37 and a half years and sending you to the parole board. Let them make the deciding factor.
And you're still on parole right now.
Yeah, I'm on parole right now. Let them make the decision of whether you're going home or not. So that's really the difference. Pardons, what pardons do is that
You free.
you free. You don't. It takes away your conviction.
Wow.
But they can do like Governor Como did though. In one instant, it didn't take away your conviction. He pardoned everybody on parole and who was coming home. He gave them a pardon. When you step out, he gave them a pardon only to the extent that allowed you to vote again. That's how he gave us back our vote, to allow us to vote. He gave us a pardon, but it didn't take away our criminal conviction. And now I think, did they enshrine it in law?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that now, even while you're on parole, you can vote, because before you couldn't vote until you got off of parole. So that's the difference. Parole is that you did your minimum sentence. Like we say 25 to life or 15, whatever. You did your minimum sentence. You went to the parole board. They looked at your paperwork. They did their little hearing, and they decided that you're ready to go home, that you're no longer a threat to society, and they release you.
And you being home 2 years and not violating. How many other?
A whole bunch.
Exactly. Like,
It's a whole bunch.
just give us a chance, bro.
Jeanny
But
just
they
gave
have
you
the
that,
clean
real quick,
slate.
Jeanny.
Oh.
Jeanny just gave you that thing right there, portrait of
yeah.
community
Yeah.
safety.
I'm gonna take her home with me.
Yeah, inside there you're gonna see a bunch of individuals that that came home on parole and what they're doing. It gives you their little bios, brief bios, and show what they
Because
doing.
I believe it's like when we used to get in trouble with our moms, right?
Yeah.
And we get a punishment for 2 weeks, right? Come on, mom, let me go outside. You know what? You could go outside, but you gotta be home at 5.
Yeah.
So do the same thing. Like, you know what? You've been in jail for 30 years, whatever. We're gonna release you. Parole.
But they should abolish parole. I'm sorry.
Well, you gotta take
I'm
you
sorry.
gotta take something though.
No, wait.
He's home because of parole. You gotta say thank you. That's what I'm assuming.
I'm saying if you did your time, right? If you did your time and you go before the parole board and they release you, you should just be released because he's still in prison.
They
Think
gotta-
about it. He is
But-
still in
but-
prison
but he
because
can-
he's still being monitored.
But he can hang out with us tonight.
But the only
the
thing,
bar.
I'm in agreement with Jeannie about you need to get away from parole. But as a system is, they came up with a thing called less is more.
Yeah.
Because while I was still inside, if you came home on parole and you had a curfew, you had to be home at 9:00.
Yeah.
And there was individuals coming back with 6 months. They would send them back in. It didn't make no sense because they came in the house at 2 minutes after 9.
No, no. I think that's corny.
But that's what they were
what was
doing.
going on.
This is
That's
what they were
corny.
They
doing.
call these technical violations, and they were
Yeah.
saying,
I think if you got locked up at 20 years old for being a gangster, you came home at 45, you've been home 6 months to a year, and you're still doing gangster shit, and you shot somebody else, or you punched somebody, whatever. No, wait a minute, you didn't learn shit. Let's bring your ass back. A curfew? Come on, let that slide, But like you said, they were doing it.
and that's why they created the bill passed, less is more. People was smoking weed, a little smoke, drinking a little something, back in jail. Now they done started, they living their life, they working, they got
Now they lost that job.
They lost the job, they have to start all over again. Because they sent them back
They
in
got to
jail.
fight the young kids that are in there, because the young kids don't know the OG yet until he proves himself. So
And so
It's
I
a
agree
lot.
with Jeanny to the extent that, we need to abolish parole because, again, you did your time. Especially if you did your time and you released me saying that I'm no longer a threat to society.
Why
Why
is he
do I
still?
need
Yeah.
still supervision?
and I don't know if you want to answer this question. How long do you have on parole?
Well, I'm eligible to come off parole in 3 years. They don't have to let me off because I still have the life on the back of my sentence. They can hold me 5 years, whatever. But I'm eligible to be recommended to come off parole after 3 years.
So it's back to the proving yourself. I've been doing this. So
Well, and
And he still has
can't-
to check in.
yeah, no, and the thing was, let me just to Jeannie, let me just tell you though.
It's just
don't get
She's
me
fighting.
It's infuriating.
she's fighting for you, brother.
Yeah,
No,
it's
but I'm just letting
infuriating.
I don't have the way, being that I came home on clemency and that, I had conversation and believe I don't create this adversary relationship. I understand that the parole officer has my life in their hand.
100%.
So I can't go in there with an attitude like blah, 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 blah.
Oh, no.
No, because if I go in there with that attitude, that's how they're going to treat me. But since I'm not worried about, listen, I was going on the train, right? And the thing wasn't working. And the police officer opened the gate and said, come through. I questioned him 3 times. You sure I can walk through that gate? Because if any police contact can change my level and then I have to report more and all that type of stuff. So I asked him 3 times, you sure I can walk through that gate? He said, man, come to the gate. You sure this ain't a setup? He said, man, come to the gate. I'm saying, are you sure? And finally he said, yeah, man, that's okay. I went through the gate because I'm not jumping the turnstile.
I don't know.
I can't afford to jump a turnstile.
I have no misdemeanors and I have no felonies on my record. And I was telling you outside, the last time I had handcuffs on me was 2009. And it didn't take much to teach me. I was good after that, So I applaud you, for not even thinking about doing no dumb shit because it's you came from 37 years, bro. That's crazy. And back to the like you say, Tato and Pito and how they came home. That's bro, and it becomes a brotherhood. I went to a barbecue in Pito's house. Tato was there, and I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna sound crazy. It was I gotta use the word convicted people. It was a convicted people
Reunion.
It was a formerly incarcerated people reunion.
But it was beautiful to see, bro. The relationship that you guys develop in there. I'm pretty sure you got best friends in jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That are good brothers. And you probably send them a little something, whatever. But it's just the stigma of bad prison, bad prison. So it sucks. But let's end it with I like to do final thoughts. Jeannie's gonna love this part because she's just gonna go off, and it's okay.
I'm not gonna go off.
Do your thing. I want you to go off.
But we are having our first advocacy day.
Any one of these.
Our first advocacy day. People's Campaign for Parole Justice. We're gonna have a couple of buses leaving from 14th Street and other places throughout New York State. We're going to Albany. We're going to have a live band that's going to lead us down the path into the Capitol. It's fun. We're going to have a press conference. This is happening Tuesday, January 28th.
28th?
Yes. Buses leave at 6 a.m.
And you know what I'm going to do for you?
This is, you can scan that.
No. What I'm going to do is this would have came out the 24th. But because this is so important, I'm going to drop this episode a week early.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I'm going to drop this episode the 17th.
Okay.
Cool.
So there's more time for that
people to
for that
join.
message.
Yeah.
And send me this on the IG or a picture or whatever.
Okay.
And I'll post it as I'm promoting this episode. I'll promote that as well.
Okay.
So it gives them more time because if I drop this episode the 24th, Tuesday's 4 days later.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'll do that just so we could get the word out there.
Yeah, it's really important. This Advocacy Day is gonna be youth led because we don't listen to the kids, man. They're so. I gotta tell you, we can learn a lot from children, especially the youth now. With all the anxieties that they go through and whatever it is, whatever other stuff,
whatever
that
trauma
they
they went through. Yeah.
So these are it's gonna be kids talking, sharing their traumas, I guess, and as to why people deserve second chances and things of that nature. It's really important work, really, really, and we always. I just want to make sure that I'm clear about this. We always, always, always think about the victims that are involved. We never, ever, ever not think about them and how they may be feeling because, at the end of the day, everyone is harmed. Everyone is harmed. And, all we can do is try to change ourselves, right? We can't change the things that took place. We could try to understand it and we can start the healing process. And it all starts with yourself, with just, forgiving those that have caused harm so that we can free ourselves. Because holding on to all of that
forgiveness is part of healing.
It's really not good. It's really not good. I had to forgive myself for living that reclusive life for so many years. I was hurting myself. And so, and I think part of the trauma was also trying to understand, what his participation in his crime of conviction.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
I forgot to ask you. It was in my mind, but then I got thrown off.
Yeah.
In the beginning, right? Did you ever talk to Jose like why or what were you thinking or you try to stay away from that?
No,
so you did do the
when I was as his wife, I have his entire case file at home. I knew what happened because I was I knew him. Mm-hmm. I refused to watch the news. I didn't read any of his case file, none of it, because I know that through my own experience, right, through what I experienced, there's what's written, there's what people report, and then there's what actually happened. So when I was ready to ask him, and when I had to make sure that he was prepared to talk about it, I did ask him. And it was the most ridiculous reason. And to your point.
And
right?
me and him.
To your point.
And me and him, we met, and within 5 minutes, me and this gentleman connected right away.
Yeah.
We got straight in. I started the interview outside with him.
Yeah.
I didn't even touch the sidewalk. Like, he got out his car. Abby, Jamal, go. It was like, and he told me what he did right away, and I was like, wow, 37 years, and wow. So it's like and he's very comfortable talking about it. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it came down to to getting some money. It was a robbery that went horribly wrong.
And you said being greedy. Same thing.
Horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. Right? Horribly wrong. Like jewelry, money, out. But that's not what happened. Two people were harmed in the process. And, it takes all of how many seconds? You make a split decision, and it's like less than 5 seconds. Less than 5-10 seconds. Your whole life is gone before you. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't even know. It's like you just react. And then it's just like, oh my God. And it's too late. It's too late.
But,
That's something you gotta,
but back to the forgiveness, back to the becoming a better person.
Yeah.
After 20, you could become a better person after 10. But they're not gonna let you go. So you might as well keep doing the programs, keep doing positive. Obviously, you got to defend yourself in some cases. It's sad, but it's true. And hopefully, you know what, you could be sitting here, like my guy here. So final thoughts, my brother. What you got?
Well, my final thoughts, because Jeanny said, about the bills and everything, but my final thought to your listening audience is that I advise you to get involved in the criminal, the correctional process. And when I say that, I'm saying that it is because of you. You taking an interest in what's taking place on the inside. It gives people on the inside incentives to prepare themselves correctly to come home and be an asset to you. Because the whole thing is about, we can do all what we want inside there, but eventually we coming home. And when you coming home to individuals, if I'm coming home, we say the street. Some people say the street. I don't say that. Anybody go to my program, that word goes out the window. We're not going home to the streets. We're going home to a community. We're going home to family. We're going home to friends.
I like that.
Yeah, and therefore there should be some type of connection. And the only way there's going to be that connection if the community and your family and friends take an interest in what's taking place in there, become involved. And when I say community, I'm talking about the organizations. Go inside, see what's going on. If you have a program out here, take it inside. If you have any, the fact of the matter is that most people, like Jeannie just said, it was a robbery. Most people are in prison because of money, trying to make money. So if you can teach somebody financial literacy, how to invest in stocks, how to do other things, when people begin to learn that, they stop looking at being a drug dealer.
A quick buck.
So take those type of programs inside. We had people come in, but you need more community involvement in the correctional process. So I would advise the community members, to whoever's listening to this, find a prison. In every prison, there's organizations. In every prison, there's people doing positive things. Link up with them and get involved in what they're doing and help them help the other individuals inside the prison system. So when they come home, you ain't got to worry about them knocking you over the head. Because if I know you and I respect you, it's least likely that I'm ever going to think about doing anything to you. So this is the type of stuff we talk about inside. Because, to be honest, when I was inside, I didn't want certain individuals going home until they was ready. Because 90-something% of the individuals coming home is coming back to my communities where we live. And the likelihood of them running into my mother, my sister, my niece, or my brother, whatever, is 100%, as opposed to upstate. Yeah. So we want them, when they come home, they be prepared. So I ain't got to worry about my mother getting robbed, my little brother getting killed, or any of that stuff. We really be worried about that stuff. And I want the community, your audience, if they listening, get involved with any of the organizations inside the prison, and definitely come up to Albany with us on January 28th.
And if you're interested in learning more, we're at RAAP, RAAP campaign.com. They can learn more about us. But just like you, right? You didn't know a lot about, what's clemency, what's pardons, what's commutation, what's, a lot of people don't know. And so ask the questions, because there's no wrong question. There's no bad question.
No, and
none at all.
No, and the reason why, because my podcast is, I go all over the place. I talk to ex-prisoners. I talk to DJs. I talk to entrepreneurs. I talk to whatever rapper. I don't care. If you're interesting and I'm trying to get the word out, I do it. But when it comes to serious topics like this, I love this, because I feel like now this episode is like, okay, this is a real one. This ain't no joking around,
And now you're empowered, right? Because
I love
power is knowledge. Knowledge is power.
But thank you. But let's go with the journey. My first episode was episode 12, which was, my first episode that had to do with this topic was Pito. Mm-hmm. Then he came maybe 5 episodes later. He came with Tato. Shout out to Lefty.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That is my guy.
Yes.
He is a supporter of the show. I don't have his clothing on today. I should have
brought you. I have something. I like him. It's Whitetail.
Yeah.
Big up to Whitetail.
Yeah, he's a strong. You know, he told me he's gonna do an episode with me eventually, but I don't want to push him because he got his own agenda. But Lefty, whenever you want, you know you're my brother. But he's a strong reason why I get the knowledge, and he's the one that told me about Jose.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said,
We can bring back some really great, colorful. We can bring back some more people that'll be really, really interesting, and you can get down to the nitty-gritty of stuff. Yeah, we
didn't discuss that aspect of that today
Robert
about what
Brooks.
happened to Robert Brooks and Marcy Correctional Facility, but
Yeah,
that
we
is
didn't
another
talk about
topic that maybe that's something you may want to entertain for your next podcast. Have a conversation about.
No,
And you know what?
that-
Some women, you got to get some formerly incarcerated women to talk
We got
about.
them too.
We got them too.
Yeah, we work with amazing.
No. Wait,
yeah.
no. I tell
Listen.
every guest the same thing. We are linked now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
We are in touch. I'm gonna ask you to help me, and I might actually have you back because if you know any other women that have done time on the outside with their partner.
Oh, yeah. I
know?
can talk about that too.
Yeah, so we could, I didn't want to.
He's my co-defendant. Wow.
I
I'm a
didn't wanna-
boss.
I didn't
My
wanna talk-
husband's my
I
co-defendant.
didn't wanna-
Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad.
Shout out to Jose all
I don't
day.
want to talk about that. Oh my God, but
No.
I did talk about it. But you know what? I gotta hold myself accountable for doing the stupid shit that I did too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still coming to bite me in the butt. You know, and it's one of my biggest concerns for his clemency. Because I'm like, okay, like he's got the petition, right? He's the one that's doing that. You know. That's got the petition out. He's doing great, right? He's an amazing person. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, my God, I can't forget.
They're gonna bring that shit up.
I can't forget about my participation in like accepting a package, not knowing that it was filled with drugs, and my participation in helping. You know, like no good deed went unpunished. Twice, not once, but twice. You know, and now I'm scarred because I have a felony record. And how is this going to play a role in his clemency? Right? That's always in the back of my mind, you know, but
Let's just think positive.
Kathy Boudin always said, hope is what carries us.
That's right.
Hope is
Hope is
eternal.
what carries us. And so, you know what? We want to continue our fight in this advocacy, and we want to give hope to every single human being that's locked away. We're fighting for you. You know, we also address the victims in the crimes. You know, we just pray for healing for everyone. And, you know, it's a new year. And so we're hoping to pass these bills and get more people.
7 years is crazy. I had no idea this was going on for 7 years.
Yeah, because of the process. It's a long process, right? And if you don't get calendared, so let's say I'm the chair of the crimes committee group, it's not on my calendar to conference it, meaning to talk among the rest of my team that's part of the committee. I can't talk about it. I cannot bring up the bill because it's not on my calendar. It's not on the agenda. So what we're fighting now, and we're going up, we're having like these mini lobby days. We've already gone. We were there first day
January 8th.
January 8th, it was the first day of session. So there was a bunch of us that went up on our own to try to get, you know, and try to lobby, right? We're trying to get like, listen, please, can you get leadership to please, you know, calendar our bills? You know, we need them calendared because the sooner they get on the calendar, the sooner the committees can vote on it. They can go to the next committee and the process, you know, until it gets to the floor for a general vote. And so, you know, it seems
But you made a point earlier. They pass. They get on the calendar what they want to get on the
They
calendar.
want
Yeah.
to. They can pass a bill within days, and we have watched them do it.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, you know what? One more point. Once it gets voted, let's just say both our bills pass and they get voted in, right? And it's successful. Then they go to the governor
But you got to sign it.
and she's got to sign it into law. She can veto them.
Damn.
Exactly.
Let me just say
Yeah.
this so your listening audience know. There's 63 state senators in New York State. All it takes is 32 state senators to pass any bill. There's 150 assembly persons in New York State. All it takes is 76 to pass any bill. Now, if they have like 40 people sign on to a bill or 42 in the Senate and like 100 in the Assembly, they can override any veto of the governor.
Wow.
Because they have a 2/3 majority to override a veto. So, and they don't have the supermajority anymore in New York State, meaning that they had 42 state senators. I'm talking about the Democrats. They 41 now. They lost a seat, but they still have the supermajority in the Assembly.
And that matters because Republicans will never, ever, ever, ever vote for these two sensible bills.
Common sense bills.
Yeah.
Wow. And on that note.
Yeah, and on that note, we could stay here and talk about so many
I
things.
can
Oh
stay
my
here
gosh.
for 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah. So,
but thank you guys.
oh my
Thank you,
God,
thank you.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate
We're
it.
gonna talk about a different angle. You know,
Yeah.
it could be women's correction. It could be women or men visiting their loved one in jail for 20 years.
That doesn't really happen, you know.
I'm changing the game. I want to talk to both sides.
I have to tell
Talking
you
about
that.
men visiting women prison?
Yeah,
No.
no.
Oh, whatever. The children.
Listen, the women's prisons.
Because you're
if
doing 20 years. You did 37.
Yeah.
Your parents did 37. Your kids did 37.
Everybody.
Your uncle did 37. Your cousin did. We all did 37 with you. I want to talk to those people as well.
But you're going to get what she's saying, you're going to get a different dynamics when you deal with female incarceration and male incarceration.
I
Yeah.
take it all.
Yeah.
I take all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
We
us.
out.
Okay, so don't forget to post that up. This is just some little